بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمد ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dear brothers and any sisters that are listening. Rajula, masculinity, it's an important topic, and there's been a lot of social media commentary and speakers that have been talking about this. But today, I want to speak about the topic of Rajula and masculinity according to one prophet and according to a story that inshallah will provide a Islamic framework for how we understand this concept of what it means to be a man, masculinity. And unfortunately, a lot of the social media platforms that we see about masculinity, whether it's Red Pill movement, people like Andrew Tate, and other things that you might have heard, doesn't necessarily align with the Islamic understanding of what it means to be a man and the ideas of masculinity. In fact, a lot of the talk that's mentioned about masculinity is actually the antithesis and the opposite of Islamic teachings. So the prophet I want to discuss today is the story of Musa alayhi salam and one particular incident. And this was the incident when Musa alayhi salam was traveling with his family in the desert, and he saw a firebrand, and he said to his family and his people that I can see a fire, and then maybe I can bring a flaming brand from it or find some guidance. And is this one particular incident that we can take and extrapolate so many benefits of masculinity, manhood, and how to be a man in your family. So just from this one incident, we're going to enumerate a number of points. Firstly, family responsibility. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has stated, "Ala kullukum ra'in wa kullukum mas'ulun an ra'iyatihi." Each one of you is a shepherd, and you are responsible for, each of you is a shepherd, and you will be questioned about your flock. What a beautiful example the Prophet ﷺ has given. That responsibility, right? Taking care of those that Allah has put under your care and your concern. How is this shown? Well, firstly, Musa alayhi salam is looking out for his family. You know, he's going for that fire, but Allah knows best what could be there. There could be wild animals, there could be some danger, highwaymen looting. The terrain could be dangerous and he might harm himself. However, he understands, Musa alayhi salam, the responsibility that Allah has placed upon him as not just a prophet, but as a family man, and that he takes his responsibility seriously, even if it means that he's putting himself in harm's way. But he understands his responsibility and he takes it. Secondly, there's danger. There's genuine danger. But then there's a bigger danger of him not acquiring any fire and heat for his family, because they could freeze to death in the desert. And he's got vulnerable people with him in his family, wife, young children. So there's a risk of real danger. So there's a concept in Islamic fiqh as well that the fuqaha use, which is called ahwanul baliyatain. Ahwanul baliyatain, the lesser of two evils. So a true concept of masculinity is to assess the situations that you're in, whether it's in your work life, in your family life, in your personal life. What is the lesser of these two harms? And then you choose what will be more beneficial for your family, for yourself, and for the community at large. You need to have a very methodical approach and choose the best options, even if all the options are not the best in that circumstance. Number 3, limiting the danger and problems in your life to minimize. So you look at the problems and you prioritize what is more important, and then you leave and defer what is later. Yes, they could have carried on for a while, but Musa alayhi salam saw the opportunity. There could be some fire, we could get some warmth, and it could provide immediate relief rather than delaying it. And this is a very big problem nowadays that we see, especially in our communities: procrastination, delay. We'll do it later, I can't be bothered, leave it last minute. SubhanAllah. How many times have we left something to the last minute and it's become good? How many times have you said, I'll do it later, and then when later comes, you wish, I wish I'd done it the first time. Very rarely do you leave it till later and then you realize, this was a good chance, this was a good opportunity, I should have delayed it, this was best. Very rarely will that happen. Number 4, being decisive. This is such an important attribute. Musa alayhi salam says, yes, I need to go, this needs to be done, and he's made that final decision unambiguous. It might be a wrong decision. There might be a consequence that is unforeseen. And in fact, Musa alayhi salam could be harmed. He could have gone there, God forbid, he could have been eaten by a wild animal. Then his family would be in bigger problem. But part of rajula and masculinity is taking and being firm on your decision. You can only have one head of the household. You can only have one CEO. You can only have one head teacher. You can only have one ilah. Allah mentions in the Quran, therefore there were many gods, then there will be fasad and there will be problems in the universe. So he makes a decisive decision and then he follows through with it. Part of masculinity, make your decision. فَإِذَا أَزَمْتَ فَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ. You make your decision, you stand firm, and then you have trust in Allah. Whether whatever comes from it seems to be good or seems to be bad, part of masculinity is making your decisions and standing firm on what you decide. Shura, seeking consultation with those around you. Musa alayhi salam didn't just make that decision. It says in the ayat that ahlihi, he spoke to his family members. Ahlihi implies the children as well. Now it doesn't mean he was seeking permission from everybody, but as head of the household, he made a decision, he sought consultation, and then after seeking the opinions of everybody, he made the final decision. Part of good leadership, part of being a man, is that you look for and make everyone feel involved in the decisions that you make and in the processes that you're responsible for, so that everyone feels part of the decision-making process. And lastly, responsibility, brothers. Taking responsibility for your actions. We are responsible, everyone is responsible for something, whether it's your family, whether it's in your place of work, whether it's in your household, whether it's in the community at large. Everyone has some responsibility over somebody that Allah has placed in your care. Even if you're the youngest in your family, there will always be someone that later on in your life you will be responsible for. And at the end of the day, we are all responsible and accountable to Allah. How did you represent your deen? Did you imbue your deen? And did you propagate it in the way they should have been propagated? Were you ambassadors for Islam? When people look at it, they say, mashallah, here's a brother and sister, I want to know more about Islam. Did you represent our deen in a way that you can stand proud in front of Allah when we are questioned? But the key thing I want to end here is this whole incident is revolved around the family. And this is one thing I want to emphasize, that being a man and showing the best and imbuing these qualities of manhood first starts in the home. This incident is with the family. And the reason why this is so important is anyone can be a good brother, mashallah, when they come out in the community. Mashallah, you see each other in the masjid, mashallah, nice smiling. But how that man is at home with his wife and his children, how he imbues these qualities, how he's a leader, how he shows that rujul in his household, that's a sign of a man. Because anyone can be a man outside and flex the big muscles and everything else. But how you flex those muscles and how you show leadership in your house, that's important. Why? Because brothers, it's the families that make up the communities. And it's the communities that make up the ummah. So if we are not imbuing qualities of manhood and leadership and ensuring that our families are led on the right path and we ourselves are practicing, then how can we expect the communities to be practicing and imbuing Islam? How can we accept the ummah to be guided? And brothers, I want to talk about a lot more, but issues of divorce. This is so prevalent in our communities. Youngsters that can't get married. It's inappropriate relations that are going on in communities. People don't want to get married. Women have expectations, men have expectations. Obstacles from family for youngsters getting wanted to get married. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Brothers, we need to imbue these attributes of masculinity, become men in our communities, then we can educate and lead the next generation of our family members as well. Wa da'wana anil hamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Subhana wa bihamdi subhanaka wa bihamdik. Nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.